Hello, in this video we're going to look at character creation part 5, which is building the select character screen for your MMO type game. So basically this is connected to the previous episodes where we were creating the create character screen, and now that we're able to create one, we want to link with the server to then populate the screen filled with your created characters. So that's what we're going to look at here. It's probably much easier to show with an example. So this is my select character screen, so you can see I've got 4 different characters here. I can toggle between them, and then I'll be able to click login with a character selected. So yeah, this is connected to the create character screen. So here, for example, I'd be able to customize a different character. I'll be able to click create, and once you do so, that character will then be populated on the screen. I'll give another example of this again at the very end, but all of the steps in order to accomplish this are available on this post, so it goes through step by step on what you need to do in order to achieve it. So do check that out, and yeah, I'll probably get started and showing what it is that we need to do. So the first thing you might want to do is create the select character widget. So I briefly showed this in the previous video, but I'll just show it again. So you can right click, create a user widget using this method. So now you'll have a widget that you might want to edit. So design it as you like, but this is my design, and so the main thing that you'll need to implement here is a create character button. So this button will navigate back to the create character screen, right? So create a button and then add an on-clicked listener on that. And what you'll have to do is create the customize character widget. So create widget, and then in the class specify the other widget, right, for the create character screen. Add that to the viewport and then remove this one from the screen. And likewise, you want to do the same thing for the create character widget. So basically, you should have a button somewhere on that widget which basically exits the character creation flow and takes you back to the select character screen. So in my case, I've got a button over here. It can be anywhere. It could be at the bottom. So design it as you like. So this is where my one is. And again, on clicked, I do the exact same thing sort of thing. Create character, in this case, create select character widget, add that to the viewport and remove this one from the screen. Okay, so now we're basically able to toggle between the two screens. So essentially I can start clicking create character or close the create character flow, and it'll take me back to the screen. So that's what we've got implemented so far. Okay, the next thing that we might want to do is basically have a component which will list all of our characters. So in my case, I've used a scroll box component. So you can find a scroll box component like this. So add it somewhere in the list, and we're going to be using this component in order to represent all of the characters that are available. And to draw the component for the characters, I've created this toggle widget. So you might want to do something similar because we will be dynamically adding that component. So it's not going to be statically present. We don't want to sort of statically create them and then toggle the visibility. You could do that, but this method should be better. So in this widget, basically we have, is that the right one? That's not the right one. So this button will simply represent the character that's available, and at the moment it just has the one text box field for the character name. Now it can get a bit more complicated later on. We might want to represent the character's level, class, anything else as well. So design this as you like. It still scales in the same sort of way. You'll see that shortly. But ultimately it's a component which will have a button and it have a text box field, and the text box field is a variable as well, so that we can dynamically change it in the blueprints. So let's have a look at what we do and how. So when you construct this blueprint, we basically want to populate the text box character name field. And in order to do that, we created account character as a variable. You can see it's public variable and exposed on spawn. So that means we can set this account character up when we're creating this widget, which will allow us to always populate this character name field. So you can see me get the account character. I break this account character and I get the string and I set it to the text box character name. The other thing that I want to do is create an event dispatcher. So this is basically going to handle our on-clicked event for the button. and basically we're going to send an event to the parent component. So in order to do that, just click create new event dispatcher, give it a name that you like, and then on the inputs you'll want to add a new parameter, and you'll want to specify the account character field over here. So that's the class that we're going to have. So basically this means that when the button is clicked, so you can see this whole field is a button and should be called something character, and we'll have an on-clicked event here. So when you click this, it will just simply call the event dispatcher, and it will provide the account character that's selected, essentially, right? So let's have a look at what the account character is. So it's just a custom struct, and for me it holds the name, account name, and appearance information. So the way that I've structured this is simply based off what I get from my API, right? So from my get my characters API call, I get an array of account characters. So you can see account characters, there's an array, and it's an array full of these objects. And this object contains the name field, account name, and appearance info. I'm not really interested in the updated at, and I'm not interested is whether the character's online. To be honest, I'm not actually interested in the account name right now, but maybe I'll want to do some validation soon, so that's why I'll keep that. So the key here is that I get the name, and I want to show the name on the button, and I get the appearance information, which will be used to basically draw my skeletal mesh and show the design as I need it to be. Okay, so that's how I created the account character structure, and then the character appearance structure, which is referenced over here under appearance info. This is the same one from before, right? So we created this as part of the create character flow. Okay, so that's just been reused over here. So that's the account character that's passed in here. That's how we get the name. And likewise, when we click on the button, we send back the account character that's clicked. Okay, so now that we have this toggle character designed, we're able to start dynamically add it onto this list. Okay, so let's have a look at what we have. The first thing that we might want to do is spawn the character mesh. So we actually copied this blueprint from the customized character widget. So if I look into this one, so spawn male character. So you saw me using this in the past, part of the constructor, spawn male character. I've modified it very slightly in a sense that this part is exactly the same, but I've also added this piece, enable input, into the flow. So you can see me doing that over here. Enable input, there's my player controller, and I also made this actor invisible at the beginning. This is because you don't always have a character available, so by default we just want to keep that skeletal mesh hidden just at the very beginning until we know we have a character to draw. Okay, so we spawn that when we construct this widget. We set or we promote that character reference to a variable, and then we start the fetching the characters from the server. So might as well mention that on the destruct event, we want to destroy the hero blueprint actor so that it doesn't cause any issues with other widgets. Okay, so let's have a look at the fetch characters implementation. So what I did was I created a new graph to just split the API comms. So it's a lot smaller than the other ones, and the reason is because, well, it doesn't really need a lot of data. So if you look into the get my character request, it's just a get request. There's no body. There's just one header we need to populate, which is the account name, and that's basically it. So it's a relatively straightforward request. So we use the VA REST subsystem to construct a JSON request. It's just a get request. We promote this to a variable. We set the header, like I said. We set the header value, so the account name, we can customize it here. So if we have the login screen working, we'd be linking in the account name over here. But at the moment, I don't have a login screen, so I'm just statically setting that up. Okay. So once I set that up, I can then apply the URL, which basically sends the request over. And once that's completed, I can then start passing this information. So I want to be processing it to find out what characters do I need to draw. So I'm not currently doing any validation over here, so I'm not really expecting anything to go wrong at this stage. But obviously, you do want to handle validations here to make sure that things are going as expected. The first thing that I do is just print it on the screen so that it helps me with debugging. But then I'll also clear out my account characters local variable. So this is what I'm going to be using in order to basically process all of the information, right? So I created a local variable, which is of type account character, and then I make it an array. So then you can see me get array field account characters, right? And again, you can confirm it using Postman. So there's my field called account characters, and you can see it's a square bracket, so I know it's an array field. Okay, with that array, I then iterate over each one. I convert the array element to an object, and then I convert it to account character response. Okay, so let's have a look at this component. So again, I've created some helpers in order to process the VA REST JSON objects. So you can see me create them over here. So VA REST struct, and this is where I'm processing that information. So again, it's much easier to cross-reference this with Postman. So like I say, what we've just gotten our account characters. So the thing that we have to focus on is the nested object over here. And we're populating the account character field. So these are the three pieces of data that we're interested in: the name, account name, and appearance info. So that's what we're going to be passing over here. So get object as field, appearance info, get string field name, and get string field account name. So these two are trivial. They're just basic string fields. So as we make our account character structure, we can directly put them in. But the character appearance is a little bit more complicated. It's just a nested object field. It's still not that bad, because basically once you get this field, all of these are just pure strings. So you'll see us create a helper method for that over here. So you can see it's just over here, convert to character appearance. So you can see we've got our JSON object again, and you see us getting the string fields for each one that's nested inside. So race, gender, hairstyle, hair color, skin color, and facial feature. So we create the character appearance struct, and we simply return it. So that's what this one does. It's still relatively straightforward. You know, it's a little bit more complicated than just getting the strings directly. We want to get the object field, which is a nested object, which will contain lots of strings inside. Okay, so that's what we're doing here. So we don't want to have this logic just sitting inside our widgets. You know, it's much better to have these helpers. So that's why we split this logic out. Okay, so let's go back to the select character widget. So now we were iterating over each one of the account characters, and then we're adding each of the account characters into this array. Okay, so account characters array. Once you've finished iterating over each one, we want to redraw the selected options, right? Or rather, the select options. So that's we have another custom event for that. So we want to clear all of the toggle widgets that we have. So what I've done is I've created a new variable to hold toggle character widgets, and again, it's an array type. Okay, so to be honest, you don't really need to do this. If we were to resynchronize with the server every like 10 seconds or whatever, we might want to do this. So this part might be slightly unnecessary, to be honest, but it could be good practice, you know. You don't have to do this piece, but it might be useful. So basically, we have the toggle character widgets, the variable I've just shown you, and we iterate through each one, and we just remove it from the parent. So that's just in case we need to redraw them for whatever reason. But generally speaking, at the moment, whenever we spawn this widget, it'll be empty, and we're not resynchronizing it, so we shouldn't really need to redraw them, right? But if we were to redraw them, then we should have this step. Okay, so basically we iterated over each one, we removed it from parent, and then we simply clear out that entire variable. Okay, so now, now that we've done that, we iterate over each one of our account characters, and then we create a toggle character widget filled with the account character that we've just created, right? So if we look into our toggle character widget, this one over here, we've said that we've got this account character variable inside, and it's exposed on spawn. So that means that when we're creating this widget, we're able to assign what this account character is set to. So that's this piece over here. And so once we've created it, I also add a little bit of padding, you know, just for the styling. So you can see me put some padding over here. And then I'm going to add it to the toggle character widgets component. So the one that I've just shown earlier. And then I'm going to add it as a child to my scroll box, right? So this is the scroll box that you see over here. So this just basically puts it in, and I've already added a little bit of padding so that there's going to be a little bit of a spacing between each one. So that's almost done. But what we want to also do is, on this toggle character, if you click the button, you want it to do some stuff, right? So that's what this bind event to character selected does, right? So basically, we have this event dispatcher. So we're able to now bind something to this event, right? So basically, there's my return value for the a widget. Bind event to character selected. So basically, this will appear as soon as you've created an event dispatcher inside the widget. So if you don't have this available, you might have not created the event dispatcher. So do check that out. But once you do, you'll be able to create a new custom event, and you'll be able to essentially attach this event to one of those. And you'll then be also provided with the account character object that's been passed with that event. Okay, so this is really useful for us because with this account character, we also have the appearance information that we want to draw the skeletal mesh with. So we're able to select the, or rather like propagate that to a variable. So select selected account character. So again, I've created a local variable for the selected character. And once I've set this variable up with some data, I want to render the selected character. Now, do note that like this is an clicked handler, right? So if I click on the button, I'm gonna run through this piece of code. But by default, I'll also want to do something like render first character. Okay, so as I'm iterating over all of the account characters, once I'm done, so you can see this on the completed loop, I'm going to render the first character. This will do similar logic, but just simply go for the first character that's available. So I'm going to check the account characters array structure, and I'm going to check if it's empty. And if it's not empty, then I'm going to render the selected character when I'm going to set this one to the first one available, right? So there's my account characters array. I'm going to get the very first item, set that to be the selected account character, and render the option. If I don't have any characters, I'm going to keep the actor as hidden. So this is my hero blueprint, and I'm going to keep that actor hidden. Now, I've actually done that through spawn anyway, but you know, it's again best practice to just do these things explicitly, just in case you're going to be modifying some stuff in the future. Okay, so what does render selected character do? So this is another custom event, and it's going to take in my selected account character variable, and I'm going to take the appearance information, and I'm going to tell my hero blueprint to essentially draw that like that appearance information inside the actor, right? So this is very similar to what we did in the create character widget. So I might need to look for this. So this is us setting the appearance structure. So you can see at the very end, what we had to do is set the appearance structure and then resolve all appearance, right? So we had a look at this part of the create character widget. And this one is a blueprint inside the create character component, so inside this character or skeletal mesh actor. So that's why I'm not going to be looking into this blueprints right here, but it is something that is covered. So basically you'll go through each component and then you select what skeletal mesh, what material is used based on the appearance structure that we've defined. So that's how this piece works, right? It might look a little bit complicated, but once you sort of break it down, it's not actually that bad. So we have our selected account character, we extract the appearance info from this object, we then take our hero blueprint and we say, draw this structure, and we tell it to resolve all the appearance. And then once that's done, we just make sure that it's not hidden anymore, right? So we again set it to visible. And that's actually it. So let's go through the full flow again. Okay, so when you open up this widget, the first thing that you do is you're going to be creating this actor, but making it invisible. You then get all account characters from the server. So you will simulate this API call. You'll extract an array of these objects. You're going to be populating that inside your blueprint. And then you're going to be creating a list of these widgets with that information. You're then going to take the name field and you're going to be drawing that on this text box over here. And you'll also add an event listener such that when you click on this button, you'll propagate the account character object to the parent to essentially redraw that component. So you're going to be then using the appearance information in order to redraw this skeletal mesh over here. And all in the meanwhile, when you get the account characters, you'll also just draw the very first one by default. So it'll be selected. Potentially, I want to add a little bit of extra design such that when it's selected, it will stay lit up or something. But this is like minor implementation detail. So that's basically it. I'll just again show you that you can it is basically linked with the create character. So let's just test character 5. Not sure how many we've got. So there's my new character that I've just created, and you can see it's all linked up to the create character screen. And the next thing that's left is basically implementing the login button, so that when I click this button, I'm going to take this character and go into the game world. So that's it for this episode, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.